They stop shouting. They stop arguing. They stop trying to prove a point. And that's when you should start worrying. Because when manipulators go quiet, it's not peace. It's precision. You think the storm has passed, but in truth, the eye of it has just arrived. Their calm isn't surrender. It's strategy. They've studied you. They know what triggers you, what softens you, what breaks you. And when they act calm, it means they've already found your weakness. This is the moment when control becomes invisible, when you confuse silence with resolution, and they use that silence to reset the game in their favor. In this video, you'll understand what their calm really means, why emotional predators go silent right before they strike, and how this false peace is the final stage of manipulation, the one that makes you doubt yourself more than ever. Because once they stop reacting, they're no longer fighting for control. They're using it. You've seen it before. After a fight, they go quiet. Not because they're reflecting, but because they're calculating. They stop calling, stop texting, stop explaining. And you start spiraling. You think, maybe I went too far. Maybe they just need space. But that's not what's happening. They're training you. They know silence hurts more than shouting, because silence makes you do the work. You replay every word, every look, every tone, trying to find what you did wrong. And when you finally reach out to fix it, they've already won, without saying a thing. At work, it looks like the boss who stops replying after you set a boundary. In relationships, it's the partner who shuts down the moment you ask for accountability. In friendships, it's the person who disappears just long enough to make you chase. They call it space, you call it respect, but what it really is control through silence. They're not calm because they've let go. They're calm because they've already taken back the power. Silence feels peaceful, but in the hands of a manipulator, it's a weapon sharper than words. They don't use it to heal, they use it to condition. Here's how it works. When you say something that threatens their control, when you confront them, question them, or set a boundary, they don't argue. They retreat, not because they've given up, but because they know your mind will do the rest. The human brain hates uncertainty. When someone you care about goes silent, your nervous system interprets it as rejection. Rejection triggers cortisol, the stress hormone, and you start craving reconnection the same way an addict craves a fix. So what do? You apologize, even if you're right. You over-explain, even when nothing was wrong. You try to restore peace without realizing peace was never their goal. That's the trap. Their silence becomes a mirror that reflects your own fear of abandonment. And once you break the silence, they regain control without ever lifting a finger. Strategic silence isn't absence, it's presence disguised as distance. It says, you'll come to me. You'll fix this. You'll prove your loyalty. And you will. Because silence forces your brain into submission through self-doubt. That's why manipulators don't argue anymore. They observe. They let your guilt, anxiety, and fear of losing them finish the job for them. The calm is not peace, it's the sound of your mind being rewritten. The second phase begins when they realize you're reacting. And that's exactly what they wanted. They stay calm. They lower their voice. They look at you the way a teacher looks at a child who just doesn't understand. This is the emotional collapse, when they pretend to be the rational one, while you're left looking unstable. It's psychological judo. They use your emotion against you. Here's the sequence. You express pain or frustration. They stay cold. You raise your voice. They whisper. You cry. They sigh. You start to feel embarrassed for feeling too much, and that's when the collapse happens. You start doubting not what you said, but how you said it. You go from defending your truth to defending your tone. They've inverted the entire narrative. Now you're the emotional one. You're the problem. You're the one who needs to calm down. This tactic works because control isn't about logic, it's about perception. And when they appear calm, outsiders assume they're the balanced one. That's why they act serene while you unravel. It's not maturity, it's manipulation in slow motion. Their calm disarms your anger, isolates your truth, and paints them as the victim of your emotion. And when the chaos settles, you're left apologizing again, not because you were wrong, but because you were human in front of someone who weaponized stillness. They call it composure. You call it growth, but what it really is control wearing a saint's face. By the time you've calmed down, they've already rewritten the story. Now comes the aftermath control, the stage where they rebuild the relationship on their terms. You think the storm has passed, but they're already planting the next one. They start gently. They speak with patience, as if they're the ones teaching you how to communicate better. They say things like, "See, when you don't overreact, we're fine. I just need peace. I can't handle drama." And you believe them because you're tired, because you just want things to be calm again. But here's what's really happening. They've trained you to associate their calm with safety. So now your brain does the work for them. You censor yourself before they ever need to silence you again. You start editing your truth. You lower your tone. You walk on eggshells that they never had to place. That's behavioral conditioning, control disguised as reconciliation. They'll even reward you for it. A soft smile, affection, intimacy. The same dopamine hit that kept you hooked before. And in that moment you mistake the relief for resolution. But relief isn't peace. It's the leash tightening just enough for you to stop struggling. This is how they seal the cycle, through a calm voice, a quiet hug, a moment that feels like healing. But healing doesn't require silence. It requires truth. And truth is the one thing their calm can't survive. When they act calm, it's not peace. It's control perfected. Because true calm brings clarity, not confusion. And if their silence makes you anxious instead of safe, you're not in peace, you're in a cage. Real maturity doesn't punish with distance. It communicates. It doesn't retreat to make you chase. It meets you halfway. Manipulators, however, don't want resolution. They want repetition. They use calmness as camouflage, a way to reset the game without ever being caught playing it. So the next time someone goes quiet after confrontation, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it echo. Watch who becomes uncomfortable first, you or them. Because their control depends on one thing, your fear of the quiet. When you stop chasing, their silence loses power. When you stop apologizing for being emotional, their calm becomes irrelevant. They can only manipulate what you're desperate to protect. And once you stop protecting their peace, you start protecting your own. They'll act calm again, but this time you'll know what that calm really means. Subscribe to the channel and don't stop at this video. They're still using tricks you haven't noticed yet. The next video will show you exactly how they do it. And once you see it, you'll never see people the same way again.